Town of Foxborough Zoning Board of Appeals. I am calling to order the March 18, 2021 public meeting of the board, including the public hearings that the board will conduct. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order of March 12, 2020, that suspends certain provisions of the open meeting law and subsequent orders that impose limits on the number of individuals that may gather indoors, we are conducting this meeting virtually by Zoom. Public comments this evening will be accepted during the public hearing. To offer comments by Zoom, you'll be asked to use the button in Zoom that is labeled Raise Hand. This will alert us that you wish to speak. We will individually bring you into the meeting. If you're planning to speak tonight, you may want to take a moment to find the Zoom button, make sure that you're in a quiet space, and have a working microphone. Also, please be sure that your Zoom window includes your name. If you're participating by phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. If you will not be speaking tonight, we recommend and request that you not use Zoom, but instead watch this meeting on Foxboro Cable Access by cable television, their YouTube channel, or Facebook Live. In the event of any technical problems, this meeting will be paused until such issues are resolved. If the technical problems cannot be resolved in a timely manner, the meeting will be adjourned. The matters on our agenda that have not been considered will be continued to the board's next meeting. That meeting currently is scheduled for April 15, 2021. All votes that we take tonight will be done by roll call. At this time, I wish to recognize the other members of the board: David Brown, Kimberly Mellon, Kurt Yegian, and Lorraine Brew. Mr. Brown, Ms. Mellon, and I are regular members of the board. Mr. Yegian and Ms. Brew are associate members. All members will participate in the matters that we are to consider this evening. However, only the 3 regular members are authorized to vote during tonight's scheduled public hearings, unless a regular member recuses himself or herself. In that event, an associate member will be authorized to vote in such regular member's stead. A unanimous vote of the voting members is required in order to approve the matters that are subject to a public hearing. Finally, I wish to recognize Diana Gray, the board's administrative assistant, and Barry Ringler, the Town of Foxborough's building commissioner and zoning enforcement officer. The time being 7 p.m., Mark S. Longa, trustee, seeks a special permit pursuant to section 3.1.6, table 3-1, table of uses, use L5 of the Code of the Town of Foxborough, Massachusetts, Chapter 275, zoning, to construct a detached garage that has a footprint larger than 625 square feet and that may exceed 1.5 stories in height. The subject property is located at 44 Green Street, Foxborough, Massachusetts, in the R40 Residential and Agricultural District, and is not in any restrictive overlay district. Jeff Lovely, you ready?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board and public. My name is Jeff Lovely. I'm an attorney here in Foxborough, and I'm representing the Longa family with regard to this petition, which is for a special permit to construct a accessory garage in the rear of their property. I'll probably end up trying to do the share screen, but Diana said that she'd help me if I had problems. So this is an existing single family home located on Green Street, which is Route 106, I believe. And it's on the what I call the Plainville side after you cross over Route 495. Part of the lot actually abuts Route 495. So the Longa family, the mother is June Longa. She resides in the home. There are 3 brothers, Mark, Stephen, and Arthur. Mark is on. He's on video as well. I believe Stephen is attending as well. So they're here if there are any other questions necessary. So it's approximately an acre of land, 150 feet of frontage. I believe the Longas purchased the home in about 1972. They've been longtime Foxborough owners. And this is kind of a nice looking, in our opinion, pole barn that would be constructed to the rear of the property. It's about 30 by 32 feet in size, and there is a farmer's porch on each side of it. So the total area under roof is about 1,440 square feet. The bylaw requires a special permit for any garage that is over 625 square feet. This one, I think there was some discussion as to the number of stories. Our bylaw also requires a special permit if a garage is over 1.5 stories. And the way I think our bylaw reads, this would be considered a 1-story garage because, as I will show you when we get into the documents, it only has a single story, and then the roof is open trusses. The roof, there's no floor. There are no stairs to a second level or anything like that. This proposal is the only utility that they're going to connect this with, if they're successful, is electricity. They will park. They will have a driveway around the side of the house, and then they'll be parking for 3 or 4 cars in front of the new garage. As noted in the petition, we do have 2 letters in support from abutters. One is actually the abutter. This property is at 44 Green Street. One letter is from Marty and Marie Briggs, and they own actually land on both sides of this. They have their home is on one side at 42 Green Street, and they own sort of an older non-conforming small lot on the other side of the longer property. So Marty and Marie Briggs have offered a letter in support. They've reviewed the program with the Longas, walked the land with them, and they're supportive. And then today I submitted a second letter, which is for people who are located, I think it's the Richardsons, and they're located sort of diagonally across Green Street on the other side of the street, but right adjacent to Route 495. So I'm going to try, if I can. Oops. All right. Diane, I'm going to have to see if you can help me.
You've got it on, Jeff. We're looking at your grandchild.
Yeah, I know. But all of my documents just disappeared on me. So
Jeff, how old is she?
she's going to be 2 in April.
Wonderful.
She's
Is
great.
she local?
Yeah, yep. She lives right on Main Street.
Oh, great.
So now I've done all kinds of stuff here. Diana,
Jeff, when you said share screen, there should be multiple screens on your desktop. You have to pick the one with the picture on it.
yeah, and I had all of those open moments ago, but I don't know what I did with them. So let me see if I can open it up.
We can't share screens at the same time. So if you can't find it, you have to stop sharing, then I can put it on.
Okay. Oh, sorry about this. So now I have this sort of minimized somehow, and I don't even know how to stop sharing.
I mean, Dave and I can put up pictures of our grandkids if you want.
All right, so
Well, there's everybody now. You did something.
Yeah, but again, I had some documents ready to go. So Diana, do you mind? Am I still sharing the screen or trying to?
Nope, I just put mine on.
Okay. Can we take a look at the plot plan, please? And thank you very much.
Hey, there it is.
All right, thank you. So here is the plot plan. I can move this out of the way. You can see the Green Street is at the bottom or south on this diagram. There's an existing house located basically in the center of the lot. Next to the house is an in-ground pool, and the proposed garage is shown well at the rear of the lot, and the sidelines are specified and shown on this diagram. So it's 28 feet to the east and 74 feet to the west. And then if we can. It's pretty, it's about 98.5 feet to the north, which is a neighbor to the north, which actually is off of that new subdivision off of 106. So the plan would be to access this with a driveway around the east side of the house where the existing, I think that's a one-car garage is. And then there would be a parking area in front of the proposed garage. Diana, do you have access to the pictures of the building?
Can I ask, would you take some questions now about this
Absolutely.
plot plan? Diana, can you just kind of scroll it back up or whatever? So when you say 3 parking spaces in front of what, the new garage?
Yes.
So we're to understand there's going to be 3 spaces there to park vehicles. And how many vehicles are going to be inside the antique cars?
That's probably going to vary. I know each of the Longas has one, but or a car that they're working on from time to time.
Yeah.
So that probably there'd be 1 or 2 cars plus other storage inside the garage.
Yeah. So there could be 5, 6 vehicles between the inside and the outside.
Yes.
And the existing garage would continue to be used as a garage. And you say that's a 1 car?
I believe that is the case. I'm not sure.
I mean, to me, it looks like, I think of it as a 2 when I drive by it, but.
It may be a 2, yeah.
So you mentioned also about.
It is a 2. It was a 1, but it only had 1 door, but there's 2 doors now.
So it is a 2. Could be. So let's talk about, you talked about having electrical back there.
Yes.
What sort of amperage are we going to put to the garage?
You just broke up on my feed, Dave. What was that, please?
I'm trying to get an idea of what kind of amperage or circuitry you would have in that garage.
Mark, can you address that one?
I don't have that off the top of my head. I mean, it would be. I'm not an electrician, so I would hate to even guess. We haven't gotten that far. Whatever it takes to light it and just to, I guess, normal plugs, outlets, and so on. Oh,
In other words, no 3-phase or anything with commercial uses, I think is what Dave was getting at.
Yeah, I assume no, there won't be anything like that. I just got 110 I got back from my brother Steven, but I think that's it. I mean, I know we talked about having a welder, but welders can run on 110 too, just because my vehicle in particular is kind of old and the frame's a little rusty, so I have to patch it from time to time. But that would be just a small little welder.
Actually, Mark, as long as you're on now, this is Barney Overett. So in the letter that Jeff sent to the board, in conjunction with the application, he indicated that you would be doing maintenance work and improvement work in the garage.
Well, like I said,
information about that.
Okay, my Jeep, of the three cars in question, mine is the most fragile. I have a 95 Jeep Wrangler that I just love, and it's getting old. So there's just normal maintenance here or there. Things get, like I said, the frame needs to be welded from time to time. Things break off. It's an older engine. It's got a carburetor, so sometimes I have to take the carburetor off and clean it. Things like that. My younger brother, Steven, has a 55 Chevy Bel Air Post that's in immaculate condition. The only thing he really does is clean it because he very rarely drives it, and it's like brand new. My older brother has a 1979 Trans Am that he just recently acquired, and that is, again, although it's a 79, I think it has fewer than 50,000 miles on it. So that's just, it'll be more cosmetic type things, whatever needs to be fixed, because it's, again, a 79. So that's sort of what it is.
Mm-hmm. My father had a 55 Bel Air, and I always dream of that car. So someday I want to see what your brother has. But
oh my God, it's beautiful. He's had it now. He's had it for, oh my goodness, he's got to have it for over 20 years now, I think.
So what kind of equipment would you actually need in the garage, for this kind of work?
Other than the welder I mentioned, to do welding, it would be just general automotive tools, which we all own already, because like I always say, the bad news is we didn't have a lot of money growing up, and we had every broken car there was. And the good news is we didn't have a lot of money, so we all know how to fix cars because we've had to fix them our whole life, and it's become a hobby now. So general automotive repair tools, wrenches, maybe older vehicles tend to need large hammers and acetylene torches in order to free up rusted bolts. That's about the only thing that we would have.
Okay.
Those are the standard tools.
Do you see yourself having like friends' vehicles in there doing repair work, anything like that?
Well, more than likely my son's vehicle and my daughter's vehicle, because I bought them for him and they're older, just to do general automotive repair.
Yeah.
My younger brother, Steven, has 2 kids in college also with older cars. So more than likely, my older brother, his kids are much older than us, so their cars are all relatively new. That's why when we said there's parking in front of the garage, it's actually not meant for parking. It's just if you see how the drawing is, if you drive a driveway up to it and you drive into the garage, you could put 2 cars there, but it's more like they would be parking on the entrance in front of the garage. There's no intention to store vehicles outside. The idea behind the garage was to get them inside. That was the idea behind it. So
okay, so I heard no intention to store vehicles.
Outside, not outside, inside. Inside, absolutely, yes.
And
you're not intending.
how about heat? Are you going to heat the garage?
Okay, go ahead.
Do you plan on providing any heat in the garage?
That initially wasn't the approach that we were looking at, but given that we are in New England, we have to work in the car in the winter. I suppose we could look at that. In the past, like we've had to do work in the garage, like my mother's garage or something like that, we have a portable propane heater or something like that we've used when we had to do work in the winter. Again, for our vehicles tend not to be. The only time that shows up nowadays is because of my children and Stephen's children. Their cars, if they break in the winter, they need to be fixed. Our vehicles would tend to be not used in the winter. My Jeep I would, but that's about it.
Okay.
The maintenance you're planning on doing is not for any commercial purpose, correct?
Absolutely
It's just-
not. No.
It's just for family vehicles?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
A question for you. So when you're talking about the new proposed driveway, that would connect with the existing driveway?
Correct. It would just continue on the existing driveway. If you see where that number says 13.8, just using that as a point of reference on the drawing, you see that line that goes across to the corner of the garage? That's where the existing driveway ends now. Actually has a skirt, a paved skirt that runs all the way the full side of the garage. We would just bring the garage along that and enter into the proposed garage.
So it would have a bit of a curve after you
Yes,
clear.
yeah, something like that.
And will the original driveway stay its same size, same configuration, just with an addition? is what you're
Yes,
proposing?
absolutely. Actually, it's relatively new. We just replaced it for my mother within the last couple of years.
Is your intention to have any water? in
I didn't hear that.
Is your intention to have any water in the proposed garage?
Again, without heat, I don't think we could, so we'd have to look at that. We have to talk about that, but at this point right now, the answer is no.
Thank you.
I have one more question, Bonnie.
Go ahead.
In conjunction with the maintenance work you have or will be doing back there, do you have any parts cleaners that use chemicals? Or
No.
Will you? We know we're not looking for you to do more.
No.
You wish to do less.
No, not. Actually, and again, at the risk of sounding, just, in today's day and age, unfortunately, most of the parts come from China. The general rule of thumb is you just replace parts now. You don't clean them or anything. It's just
Mhm.
cheaper. It's cheaper and easier. You just replace
Yeah.
the parts.
Okay. All right, I'm set, Bonnie.
Kurt or Lorraine, do you have any questions? Otherwise, I'll let Jeff proceed.
I'm all set, Barney.
Yeah, the only question I had is that, will obviously the garage was going to be keeping with the same materials and in contacts with the existing house?
Well, that's a question that I had as well, but I think Jeff wants to put pictures up. So
Yeah,
we'll
I think,
hold on.
yep, Diana's putting the, and we actually have some photographs too, but these are the plans. These will be, this is actually based on a garage that a friend of the Longas built, I think, in Attleboro. So that this is, the picture in the middle there is the front of the garage. It has a large central garage door, windows on the side, and a window up top. I believe it's called a pole barn. It's just the way the structure is, trusses on the roof. I believe the plan is to have it red. The existing house is not red. Is that correct, Mark?
No, we're probably going to, we probably have to get my mother weigh in on what color she wants it to be, since she still lives there. So that's what we haven't really decided on the color yet.
Is the siding wood siding, or what's the siding made of?
It's metal siding,
Okay.
but
Also,
but it looks like, that's why I think it's really important to show you the pictures, because the material itself is, it looks, there it is right there. It looks as though it's a planking. It's made to look like planking, but it's actually not.
So there's a picture there of the,
Upside down, Jeff.
but Diana's doing this, and I appreciate it. She'll flip it over. Those were in landscape mode.
So, if we were to approve this, normally we want the colors and things to match the house. And I know that, I don't think that, by my thinking, that color would match the existing house.
I apologize. We'll make it whatever color is required. We just hadn't thought about it. And again, I assume my mother was going to weigh in anyway, so it would have to be either the same color or complementary color. But if it needs to be the same color of the house, it will be the same color as the house.
Well, we use the term match.
Okay.
Not something that-
Understood. That's not a problem.
Okay,
Yeah, we have to worry about, not that I'm not worried about obviously the board, but I'm more worried about my mother than, be honest with you.
does she know that the boys are up to this?
Actually, my mom just retired a year ago. She's 83.
Oh my God.
She's thrilled about it because we'll be there even more often, and
Oh,
actually
yeah.
that's part of it, that we'll be spending even more time at the house. Seeing this, her timing on retirement and COVID were a really bad combination. She's going star crazy.
So Diana actually pulled up a picture of the interior of the barn. It shows how the framing works, and that it's really just one, higher roof structure with the trusses up above, and the lights in the windows and in the door. And then we also have, can you pick up a couple of those aerial photos to sort of show where the property is located in terms of the neighbors? There we go. So this is just a Google Earth picture. This was clearly taken in the winter or whenever the foliage was down. And actually, I stuck that pin in a little bit to the west of the Longa house. But you see the Longa home is located, quite close to Route 495. The neighbor to the west is Briggs, and then the neighbor diagonally across Green Street over in the corner by 495. Those are the two neighbors that I think actually on the other side of South Grove. That one, I believe. Those are the neighbors that are supportive of the project. And then if we can look at the other one, I also submitted a picture showing it more when the foliage is up. And that one really shows that just based on the location of this, it's going to have a minimal impact, we think, on any neighbors. It really will be difficult to see from the street. It's very distant. I think that's King Philip Lane. It's quite distant from King Philip Lane. And it's well vegetated. Obviously, some of the trees will come down to build the garage, but it will still be pretty isolated and private. So we don't think it'll have a big visual impact at all on the street if you can see it past the existing house.
Well, and the lot behind the house, behind the longest property, if I looked at it right, that's an extremely long lot from the street that the house, the abutter is on.
Right.
Hundreds and hundreds of feet, So he probably doesn't even know it's the longest house is there, let alone this garage.
Yeah, and they may not go back there too much.
I would imagine that after the garage is constructed, to the north of the garage, northwest, the trees will still be there.
Yes.
So it'll be shaded or less visible from the King Philip Lane houses or King Philip Place houses.
We can't see their house. I mean, we go in the backyard. We can't see any of the houses. The only house we can see is Marty's. Been our neighbor since '72. So.
Jeff, anything else?
I don't think so. We're happy to answer any questions, but I think that's pretty much the flavor of this request and this project.
Actually, one question I have, Jeff, and then I'll ask if any other board members have any questions. From ground to top of the proposed garage, what is the height?
So this is something, and I discussed this with Rich Leslie. So if your board grants the permit, then Bay Colony will be submitting an additional drawing that shows elevation the way it's measured in Foxborough, which has to do with the grade on various faces of the building and stuff. But this is about 20 feet, 4 inches from the ground to the peak. And so that's what I would consider to be the height. considering obviously the front will be leveled, to be pretty
Right.
level with the slab. So above that ground right there, it'll be 20 feet, 4 inches. And then I don't know the topography, if it falls off in the back or anything.
I mean, from my perspective, whether this is 1 story, 1.5 stories, or 2 stories is really immaterial. Because you're before us because either, height exceeds 1.5 stories or the footprint exceeds 625. We don't give 2 special permits. It's only
Right,
one.
right.
So the fact that the footprint is well in excess of 625 would get you before us. And I think that's the most important issue to consider.
Right.
Anybody else have any other questions?
No,
Okay, is anybody who, I'm going to read the 2 letters that into the record that Jeff indicated earlier, but is there anybody who wishes to be heard in the public? Okay, so we have a letter from Martin and Marie Briggs of 42 Green Street, Foxborough, Mass. To whom it may concern, we completely support the Longas in their desire to build an accessory garage at 44 Green Street. We have reviewed the site and building plans and have walked the land. We feel that the proposed garage was both attractive and appropriate for the neighborhood. We own the property on both sides of the Longas and greatly appreciate how wonderful they have always been as neighbors, as well as how wonderful they have always maintained their property. We sincerely hope the town will grant the necessary permits and approvals to allow construction of the garage. And it's signed Martin L. Briggs and Marie Briggs. And the second letter is, Dear Zoning Board Committee, we have lived across the street from 44 Green Street for almost 50 years, and they have always maintained their property. We have seen the garage as long as are requesting permission to build. We have also been shown where the garage will be placed, and we support them in their plans to build. We hope you'll allow the Longas to build their garage. Respectfully, Donna and Garrett Richardson, 59 Grove Street, Foxborough, Mass. So unless we have any other questions from anybody, or if there's anything further, Jeff, that you or your clients wish to state, we can close the public portion of the hearing.
We're all set. Thank you.
Okay. Dave or Kim, you want to make a motion?
I move we close the public hearing.
I second the motion.
And I have to take a roll call vote. So Dave,
Yes,
Kim,
Yes.
and me, yes. Dave, you want to start?
sure. Bottom line is I'm okay with this. I do think we would want to put all of the conditions that we normally put on oversized garages. In particular, the business about no water
Mhm.
going out there. The requirement that we put on power, I can't remember exactly what it is.
I got it down.
And no central heat. If they want to put a space heater in on the cold days, that's fine.
Mhm.
And as you know, and I'll state it for the applicant, the reason we do some of these things is we don't want to see the garage become used for commercial purposes by you or by owners that might take the property in the future. That's why the concern, that's why all the questions.
Kim,
Of course, it should match, the garage should match color and whatnot. And I think we would let the building commissioner, the zoning enforcement officer sign off on what's submitted concerning that. Nothing else comes to mind. What are the other ones we normally do? I was looking for
well,
it. It's hard
I'll
operating
read
from
them
the
off,
dining
don't
room
worry.
table,
yeah, I got them down here on paper, so I'll read them off. Kim,
I agree with everything that Dave just said. Very well put, Dave. And I also appreciate knowing that there is support from the neighbors. That also helps with this.
okay.
Kim, how come those waves behind you don't move?
So strange, I know.
Okay, I just had to say that,
Yeah, he is waiting.
Kurt,
Yeah, no questions at this time. It seems pretty straightforward.
okay, and Lorraine.
No questions, Barney.
Okay, and I'm fully in favor of, let me read off the conditions we would typically impose, and then we can, modify them if necessary, and then make a motion. So first is that the proposed garage shall be a detached structure with a footprint that shall not exceed 1,440 square feet. The interior of the garage shall be 32 feet in width by 30 feet in length, with exterior portions that are shown on as shown on the plans, that shall not exceed 8 feet in width and that run the length of each side of the structure. And the height of the garage shall not exceed 20.4 feet above grade. 2, construction and design of the garage shall be in accordance with the plans that were submitted. 3, the garage shall be situated on the longer property as set forth in the Bay Colony plot plan. 4, the garage shall be constructed of exterior materials that are comparable in type, architectural design, and color as the exterior materials with which the existing residence is constructed. 5, the proposed garage shall be used solely to garage motor vehicles, store personal property, and allow for normal maintenance work on motor vehicles that are owned by members of the Longer family. 6, the garage shall not be used for any business or commercial activities and shall not be used for residential dwelling purposes. 7, running water to and within the garage is prohibited. 8, electricity service within the garage shall be restricted to single-phase electric service. 9, spotlights on the garage and pole lights on the subject property that lead to or outside the garage are prohibited. And finally, 10, storage of combustible or hazardous materials within or outside the garage, including gasoline and used motor oil in excess of 5 gallons is prohibited. Jeff, those are the conditions we typically impose for applications of this nature for oversized garages. Do you have any questions with them?
I don't. I guess to Kurt's point, they're not going to run, the 3-phase industrial electric.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of wondering. So I'm assuming that the language of that condition would work, but I do believe, and I'm no electrician either, their welder may be a 220 volt welder. So, but I do believe your language would work with that. But because I think the concept is that we're prohibiting any kind of heavy power for commercial activity. But that was just one question that I had.
Okay. Barry, do you have any thoughts on that?
A lot of those garages have what's known as a modine heater, and it's usually up on the ceiling. It's raised above to meet codes and such, and does give a lot of heat, so that they can work on their cars. It sounds like they want to do minor repairs on the garage, not just in the summertime, but probably throughout the year, the winter time. I don't know, I know you mentioned that space heaters that they can use. Would the modine heater be something that they could put up there that would be electrified? And if so, that would be something that would require more electricity for that, to be used for the whole unit, You got a big door there to be raised, so he's going to need power to be able to raise that one garage door, and proper lighting, and such. So I'm not an electrician either, but I'm wondering, that size space, we all know heat rises. That's a big cubic air for a space heater is really going to be insignificant. It's not going to really, I think, supply somebody with comfort to be able to do the minor repairs that he wants to do, which most people do typically, right? So I think maybe the heart of what they'd like to do there, I don't know. I don't know if we need more data about the power to enable them to have more power to be able to have more comfort.
I guess one way to handle it is with our typical conditions, and if it becomes necessary to modify something in the future, we obviously can consider that.
And Bonnie, I don't think when we do this, I'm not looking to have any heat, within something like that.
Okay.
Which is why I'm saying, well, you could have a space heater. I'm kind of coming off where I usually am on this sort of thing.
Okay.
One one additional condition you might want to weave in there is there'll be no second floor, period. You know, in case somebody's got some creative thoughts about how they can, you know,
So in other words, the
it's a
the
one
interior's
floor
gonna be open
building,
as
period. You
shown in
know?
the plans.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything else from anybody?
Arnie, it's Lorraine. So,
Yeah.
Dave, does that mean if for like future, if they wanted to have like a shelf, like a loft type of place for storage?
That would say they've got to come talk to us.
Okay.
I don't know that there's room that you can put much of anything up there anyhow, but you know, we know people can get creative, and not just the present owners, but the somebody that's looking to buy the property, they might start to have all kinds of ideas.
Could I mention?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, we all know that we've been kind of tossing around what is a 1.5 story. And I've been doing some thinking with the single family homes that are allowed 2.5 stories, which, you know, through simple mathematics, it's just 14 feet plus half 7. So 21 feet for the most part would be the height, I think. So if they were to add another layer in there for storage, that would be their 1.5 story, as long as they're not higher than the 21 feet. But again, that's interpretation, you know, as we all know, a little bit, you know, up in the air. But I'm kind of viewing things that way as I'm, issuing building permits, that on the outside, the height from the average grade around the building contiguous to be no greater than the 21 feet, and the 1.5 stories, because of the definition of a story, as we all know from the tops and the bottoms. I think they probably would have 1.5 stories if they were to put a floor across, keeping it less than the 21, well, no greater than 21 feet.
Dave, how does that square with what you just suggested as a?
I don't know, it just, I want to keep it in a way that things don't start to grow. My feeling is if I can, if they have to make a trip to see the zoning board because they want to do something, let the zoning board decide if they're willing to do it. And I don't like managing people's property, but you know, we've had cases in the past where things have really grown. And I'll reference some properties on Main Street 140 headed towards Route 1 on the left, where things have just really took off.
I tend to agree. Again, as I indicated and as you indicated, there's always the opportunity to come back to us to request a modification if it becomes necessary or appropriate. The issue of story versus height is something that we've had discussions with. I know Bill Buckley has had discussions with Paige about it. Paige has talked with me about it. I've talked with Bill Buckley about it. I think at some point at a future annual town meeting, we'll present a proposal to change the height story specifications that are in the bylaw. I think right now I just like to leave it, as we said before, that the height would be no greater than 20.4 feet above grade. And as Dave indicated, that last condition about no second floor being constructed within the structure. Kim, Lorraine, Kurt, any other thoughts in that regard?
No.
So someone want to make a motion?
I move that we grant the special use permit with the conditions that we've discussed. Period. I guess that's it, right?
The special permit, not special use. That shows
Special
that
permit,
shows-
yes. Oh, it's a
that shows how
special
long Dave
permit.
and I have been doing this.
Well, what do we call the height? So that's not what is the height? All right.
20.4.
special permit.
Can we second it?
Second, yes.
Okay, again, I gotta do a roll call. Dave,
Yes,
Kim,
Yes.
and me, yes. Jeff, I should have something written, and hopefully we can sign it by end of next week.
Great. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
If you have any questions, let me know.
All right, will do. Diana, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Thanks.
and good luck. I look forward to seeing that Chevy Bel Air.
Thank you. Have a nice night. Bye-bye.
so Kim, I'm waiting for you to raise a margarita or go get another one.
I'm just dreaming of summer and I need to have something summery to look at.
It's
No
pleasant.
margaritas included yet.
Yeah.
So Kim, what's it a picture of?
Situate Harbor.
Well,
Okay, Frank, you all set?
Frank's mic is muted.
Okay, well, he doesn't have to talk yet. The time being 7:10 PM. Stephanie Sylvie seeks a special permit pursuant to section 5.3.1 of the Code of the Town of Foxborough, Massachusetts, Chapter 275 zoning to allow the reconstruction, extension, alteration, or structural change of or to a non-residential structure, a barn, that does not increase the existing nonconformity or create a new nonconformity in order to connect such non-residential structure, barn, to the existing single-family dwelling for the purpose of converting such dwelling into a two-family dwelling on the property located at 15 Baker Street in the R15 residential district. Property is also located within the historic district. I filed a disclosure statement with the town clerk's office early this week, in which I indicated that I have had 2 telephone conversations with the attorney representing the applicant in this matter concerning the section of the zoning bylaw under which the application should be submitted. Those conversations did not involve any discussions of the substance or merits of the application. No statement was made by me as to how I might vote on the matter or on information that might persuade me to vote in any certain manner. So taking into account the facts that I've disclosed, I feel that I can perform my official duties objectively and fairly. And unless somebody objects to that, I will be sitting on this matter. Seeing none. Frank, go ahead. You're on.
Thank you. I just want to say my internet connection's been spotty during that first hearing. So if anything happens, we'll try to get back on right away. The applicant, Stephanie Sylvie, and she's one of the owners of the property at 15 Baker Street, which is within the R15 zoning district and is in the historic district. The property is approximately half an acre. This is the same property that you saw under case 2020Z-6 that you heard in January, which was requested a variance in order to have a second residential dwelling structure on the property. In other words, converting the existing barn into a second residence. That variance, of course, was denied. This application, the owner, as the chairman indicated, is requesting a special permit under 5.3.1 allow the extension, alteration, or change to the non-conforming pre-existing barn. And those changes do not increase the existing nonconformity, does not create any new conformity. What the owners are proposing is a connection between the barn and the house, which will be approximately 14 feet by 18 feet, or approximately 252 square feet. Again, the square footage and dimensions may change slightly depending on the final design, but not significantly. Both the house and the barn were built in around the 1850s. The house meets all the existing setback requirements and other zoning requirements. The barn, however, is located 11 feet off of the side yard, where 15 feet is required. Therefore, it's a pre-existing non-conforming structure. So the extension of the barn or the addition to the barn, which connects the barn and the house, can only be allowed under, again, section 5.3.1 point, if the board determines that the proposed change, the addition, is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming structure. And of course, we feel strongly that it does not substantially detrimental to the neighborhood. It does not increase the nonconformity because the addition is on the other side of the barn from the side yard. And of course, it doesn't create any new nonconformity because it meets all the requirement setbacks. The addition will be a new entrance into the combined structure. When you walk in to the new addition, you'll be going upstairs into the new house. Where that doorway will be is approximately where a window is now. There'll also be an entrance into the barn area. The rest of the interior of that addition hasn't really been designed yet. You know, they think there'll be some possible closets, cubbies, things like that. So when you walk in, you can take your coat off before entering either the barn or the existing house. The owners request some flexibility if allowed, because they have to work with the historic district in designing the addition, specifically the exterior, and any changes that they'll be doing to the barn structure. So that's why a lot of the design hasn't been done yet, because we could come in with a design with this board, and when we go in front of the historic district, they could ask us to make some changes. So that's why we would request some flexibility with regard to that. Diane, do you think you can pull up some of those pictures I sent forward to you?
Do you want the pictures or the plan?
Well, we'll do the plan. The plan right there shows where the addition is. Now, again, the back wall furthest to the rear yard connects the barn to the end of the house. That's not a straight line. So at some point, if it was a straight line, it would come about a foot or so off of the house. They haven't determined a final design, also with regard to the structure of the house and how they connect it. But this is how we a little bit of an angle. There will be a doorway on one side. We're not sure. They think it'll be on where it says 14 feet when you come in. And again, you'll turn the rest of the area, again, hasn't been designed yet, but they anticipate cubbies, closet space, storage, things like that. If you can show some of the pictures now, Diana. Did you hear me? Oh, there we go. Oh, well, I'll show this first since you put it up. This is a plan that was done for a previous client of mine. But you can see where it says locus, that's where this property is. In this general area, as it shows, all the red shows either two-family or multifamily structures. So as you can see, there's a great deal of two families and multifamilies in the area. So by making this change in the R15, which allows two families, there we go. It'll fit right in with it. Can you bring up the pictures now? What the pictures will show is there are two windows currently at the back of the house where the addition's going to go. One of the windows is going to be removed, and that'll be the doorway. The other window, which is a window for the bathroom, may or may not stay. It's the only window in there, brings in light. But again, it'll be part of the addition. There we go. So that front window there with the X, that is where the doorway, the new doorway will be coming in. The addition will be coming off the end of the structure there and go to the end of it. The window with the question mark, they may or may not remove. That is a window that's in the bathroom. Again, it'll be looking into the addition. They may or may not remove that. This is from the back. So where the doorway is there, they're not sure if they're gonna have to move that a little bit closer up or not. The thinking is that'll be removed and the doorway will be closer to the front of the barn. But again, it'll be the final design of that addition as to how far back it will go. But more than likely that door will be removed and just replaced a little further up. And again, those are the two windows. The closest one, not sure whether they're going to keep it or not. And the further one back, closer to the street, will be removed and a doorway will be gone in there. But that area between the barn and the house will be where the addition is. And again, it goes pretty much to the end of the house structure. It may go a little further to line up better. It may not with the final one, and just connects the two structures. I think that shows. Again, there's a lot of multi and two-family residents in this area. If you also go up and down Baker Street, again, this is an old part of the town. There were many barns on that street, and a lot of them have already been connected to the house. So by connecting the barn with the house, it'll fit in with the general neighborhood. So it's not anything unusual. A lot of the barns have already been connected to the house with that. The applicant feels strongly that these proposed changes will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structure is, and actually think it's going to benefit because their intention is to make this into a two-family with some type of addition. And by incorporating the barn, they think it'll really enhance their project. And I think with that, I'll open up with any questions.
Frank, the intent, I assume, would be for the materials to be the same color, same type of materials as the existing house and the existing barn?
The exterior?
The connector, the connecting portion, the materials will be the same color, same type of materials as the house and the barn?
Well, the intent is to work with the historic district in coming up with that, yes. And that's generally their intent, but they have to get the approval of the Historic Commission for that exterior.
Okay.
So yes, their intent is for that to be simple, to mesh right in with both the existing barn and the house.
Okay. Dave, Kim, Kurt, Lorraine, go ahead.
I don't have anything, Bonnie. I mean, we went through this back in January, the fact that the buildings needed to be somehow attached, and this seems to do it, you know, and I know we're probably the first step along the way between the historic district and the Historic Commission. I'm sure they will work them over pretty good.
Kim, any questions?
I do have one question. On the front of the barn, if I recall correctly, there are columns. will those columns remain, specifically the column that's closest to where the addition is? Yes, I see nodding heads. Okay. Thank
That's
you.
the intention, yes.
Thank you.
Kurt, any questions?
No questions for me. We covered it in January, and I understand what the.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lorraine, any questions?
No questions. Thanks, Barney.
Barry, do you have any?
Nope, no questions.
Okay, so let me open it up to, I know we have Mr. Kraus and Ms. Selby on, so if either of them have any questions or comments, I guess what you have to do, raise hand.
I don't see them listed as being
Yeah,
on.
no, Ms. Selby, you on?
I'm here. Tom's here too, and so is Sean. We're all on the commission. Sean Barrett's our newest Historic District Commission. I'm not here tonight as part of the district commission, though. I'm just here as the neighbor. So Tom can weigh in on anything for the district. There isn't anything before us right now, so I don't think the district has anything to say until we see them apply for something. My only question continues to be this thing I have not understood, and our architects tried to explain it to me as well. You referenced there not being an expansion of a non-conforming use, and Frank said that as well, except that right now it's a barn, which is not an occupied home, and by connecting it, they get to turn it into a home that, while they may share a hallway, is still essentially a single-family home, which is a completely different use than a barn. And all the other barns on our historic district, they are barns, they are not homes. So there's a difference there. So I'm trying to understand why that is as of right. In other words, if I hooked my backside of my carriage house to the little garage that's next to us, I could then turn that garage into a bedroom if I wanted to, by that logic. Is that true?
So let me see if I can explain the situation this way, and obviously if I don't do it to your satisfaction, just shoot other questions at me. You use the word by right. What's allowed by right in the R15 district, among other things, are two-family homes.
Okay.
But in order to create a two-family home here, we'd have to connect the garage to the existing home. And what the bylaw says is that the reconstruction, alteration, or extension of, or the structural change to any non-conforming structure that is not a single or two-family residential structure may be authorized by the Board of Appeals in according with, following sections or subsections. And the one that we're under is that a special permit is required for the reconstruction, extension, alteration, or structural change of or to a non-conforming structure that does not increase an existing non-conformity or that does not create a new non-conformity. As Mr. Spillane indicated earlier, the barn is a non-conforming structure. And the reason it's a non-conforming structure is that it's only 11.4 feet from its side yard, from its, I guess it would be the easterly side yard. Homes within the R15 district have to have a side yard setback of 15 feet. So there's no extension that it's occurring. There's no exacerbation of the existing nonconformity that's occurring. What's occurring is there's going to be an alteration of the existing barn to make it a two-family home. And that's what brings us before, in order to create a two-family home. In other words, to change the barn from a barn or a garage, whatever it's being used for now, into another residential dwelling. And because of that alteration in its use, that brings us before, or that brings the applicant before the board. So again, the the use, meaning the intended use, meaning a two-family home, is one that's allowed by right in the R15 district. But because one of the structures that's involved is non-conforming, and again, it's non-conforming because of its imposition into the side yard setback, a special permit is required from the Board of Appeals. Now, if I haven't answered your question, please go ahead. Let me know.
I'm not stuck on the 1 or 2 family home as of right. I get that. What I'm stuck on is the barn is not a house. The barn is a barn or a garage or whatever the current use used to have horses now. Well, it can't have a car because it's not structurally sound for that, but the barn is a barn. And that's not the expansion of the home. It's connect the home to the barn so you can leapfrog into, now we're going to call it a nonconformity of a 2-family home. That's what I'm not understanding.
See, I'm looking at this as connecting the barn to the home in order to allow the barn to be converted into a residential structure.
Right.
There's nothing that prohibits a barn that's in a residential district from being converted into a home, as long as the appropriate criteria of the zoning bylaw are satisfied.
So your answer is yes. Anybody with a garage that's non-conforming, as long as they can get it attached to their house, can now convert that garage into whatever they want for living space.
Contingent upon the board making the determination that the criteria for a special permit has been satisfied.
Right. Okay.
In other words, she can't do, the only reason we're here tonight is because she cannot, Ms. Sylvie cannot, without board authorization, convert the garage or the barn, whatever we want to call it, into a residential dwelling. She's required to obtain a special permit from the board in order to do that. And again, the reason that a second dwelling unit is permissible is because we permit 2-family dwellings in the R15 district.
Right.
We don't permit that, and this was the decision that we made a couple of months ago. We don't permit 2 unattached dwelling units on a single property. But in the R15 district, we do permit 2-family homes, 2-family dwellings. But she needs a special permit from the board in order to achieve that.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions you might have?
No.
Okay. Mr. Kraus, any questions on your part?
No. Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would move we close the hearing, public portion of it.
Okay, Dave?
I second the
Yeah.
motion.
I'm sorry. Dave?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
And me, yes. Again, I think with appropriate conditions imposed, I certainly don't have any problem with the with the requested application. Special permit requires that we make a finding that the proposed, use would not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, than what exists. And I think, as Mr. Splain indicated, there are numerous multifamily and 2-family homes within the vicinity of this property. So I certainly don't believe that there's any detriment whatsoever in that regard. Dave or Kim?
I agree with you.
Yeah,
Kurt?
I agree. The only conditions would be that they're gonna have to do it anyhow, I believe, is go to the Historic Commission. I believe they need to, and certainly the District Commission. But those would be more, I think, concerned with the architectural aspects of it.
Kim?
I agree with everything you both have said.
Okay, Kurt?
No, not for me.
And Lorraine?
No questions, thanks.
The only other thing I was thinking was to add a condition that the connecting unit be as shown on the plan. Frank, do you think there might be any significant change to that, or is that pretty much it?
I'm afraid that the walls may move a foot or two, especially the front and the back one, because right now it's connecting to the house on that corner, but it's not coming straight off. It's going off a little bit. So, if you limited it to 252 feet, I think that'd be okay. I just want some flexibility for them just to move it a little bit if they run into either design or structural issues with the old house and with that old barn. That old barn is not on a slab, and it has no cellar. You have to walk around back and go underneath it. And it's an area where water collects. So we wouldn't have any problem saying we have to come back in front of you if there's any significant changes, but I think, working with the architect as well as the Historic Commission, I think would be in everyone's best interest if we had some leeway within which to move that around.
So what you're saying, though, is the square footage of the area is 252. You would have no problem with that.
I think that's reasonable. I think
Okay.
that's reasonable.
Barry, can you think of anything that we should add?
No, nothing comes to mind.
Okay. So what we're saying is two conditions. One would be approval from the Historic, whatever approvals or authorizations are required from the Historic Commission. And second would be that the size of the connector be 252 square feet.
So moved.
Barney, actually thinking, see, the front wall is lining up with that window at the end of it. So, rethinking this, if that back wall has to be extended a little bit, it'll probably be larger than 252. And when I talked with Bill Buckley about it, he said it's about 1.5 feet off. So I think if you allowed us a couple more feet, so instead of 14 by 18, it would be all right if we said 14 by 20. So you could give us no more than 280.
Okay.
Because that's what Bill Buckley told me. It's off 1.5 feet. If you go straight down, you're coming off the house 1.5 feet. So I think if you say 280, I think that'll give them enough flexibility. I'd hate to have to come back in here because at 260 or something like that.
I'm fine
I
with
think
that.
20 would be a better number if that's all right. Okay, thank you.
All right. So again, one condition would be approval, whatever approvals or authorizations are necessary from the Historic Commission. And the second is that the connecting section be no greater than 280 square feet in area.
It's a Historic District Commission.
Historic District Commission.
District Commission, not Historic Commission. They're two different commissions.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Dave,
Aye.
Kim,
Yes.
and me, yes.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you. Frank, don't go away.
I'm not.
Give me 1 second, but don't go away. All right, the time being 7:20 PM, we have the continued public hearing of Lucas C. Sherman, who seeks a variance pursuant to section 4.1.1, table 4-1 of the Code of the Town of Foxborough, Massachusetts, chapter 275 zoning, to allow a side yard setback of 20 feet where 25 feet is required, and a modification to case number 89-27 to eliminate or modify condition number 1 to allow the footprint of an existing 4-family dwelling to be expanded with the addition of a 5th dwelling unit. The property located at 41 Sherman Street is in the R15 residential and actually it's just a residential district, even though we said residential agricultural district, and is not located in any restrictive overlay district. I've got a letter dated March 17, 2021, addressed to me as chairman of the Board of Appeals. It's from Attorney Francis J. Spillane. Dear Mr. Overton and board members, the applicant, Louis C. Sherman, respectfully requests the public hearing scheduled for Thursday, March 18, 2021 at 7:20 PM on case number 2021-01 regarding 41-43 Sherman Street be continued to the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting in April 2021. The applicant is currently reevaluating the location and design of the proposed addition. The applicant hereby waives the specified time period for holding a public hearing and for rendering a decision on said application and any other specified time periods until April 30, 2021. Thank you for your time and consideration of this request. Very truly yours, Spillane and Spillane, Francis J. Spillane. Frank, anything you want to add?
Yeah, the applicant is still working on it. I guess everybody has an opinion on how it should be done. And they're still trying to find the right design to make everyone happy and hopefully get some type of approval from this board. So we just respectfully request that the hearing be continued until your April meeting.
I think the, if I remember correctly, Frank, the extension that we signed last month, although it did say we would be continuing the hearing till tonight, it kept the period open for decision to the end of April. So I think we're covered in that regard. I guess all we really need is a motion from the board to just continue the hearing itself until the April meeting. And then I guess, Frank, I can, just to keep things settled and correct, you and I can sign another.
I'm sorry, you can break it.
Okay, you and I can sign another extension agreement, even though.
Well, the original extension agreement continued it until the end of April.
Well, it said that we would be hearing it tonight. So I think what I want to do is just sign another one. You know, we'll keep it open until April 30th as far as the decision, but just to not be inconsistent with what you and I already signed. So I'll shoot you something tomorrow. I'm just saying that we'll be hearing this on April 15th, but the period will be open as originally agreed to April 30th. Can you hear me?
I lost you, but I think I know what you said. I'll
Okay.
sign whatever you want me to sign.
I'll call you tomorrow. Don't worry.
You gotta sign
I'll let
some
you know.
papers.
I'll sign whatever you want me to sign. Just
All right. I don't think we need a vote on that. I think just the consensus is, because of the request that, well, maybe we should take a vote just to be safe. They make a motion that we continue the hearing until the April 15th.
I move that we continue this hearing until April 15th.
Second,
Okay, Dave,
Aye.
Kim,
yes.
and me, yes.
thank you once again.
Okay, we'll see you on April 15th again.
Okay, and Diana, or you will just send me whatever you want me to sign.
You know what I'll do? I'll sign something tomorrow morning. I'll email it to you directly. And then just email it back to Diana.
You know how to do that, Frank?
Okay. All right, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, minutes from last meeting.
I have nothing to suggest.
Good, Diana, as always.
I made a couple of small suggestions. One of them was wrong. I realized it was wrong and I apologized to Diana. But I did pick up that she misspelled Kim's name in one case. So other than that, no substantive changes. So motion from someone? Second,
Second,
okay, Dave,
aye.
Kim,
Yes.
Kurt, and Lorraine.
Yes.
Okay, any other business?
No,
So Diana, what's the status of being able to meet indoors again?
Selectmen are supposed to be voting at their next meeting, which I don't know if that was this week or next week, to let us back in the last week of March. And it will be back to the only 10 people allowed in the room. So it would still be kind of a hybrid thing, but
Mhm.
those that want to go in person would be able to go in person.
So by the time our April meeting comes around, I'll be fully vaccinated. Lorraine already is. Dave, you probably will as well.
I will too, yeah.
Now, Kim and Kurt, have you been vaccinated yet?
I have not. I'm on the list. I guess my wife just signed us both up, but no, not yet.
Okay, Kim?
Not yet, no.
Okay, so I think probably what we should do is just discuss it before the meeting. One way or another, I'd like us all together, whether we're all together by Zoom or all together by being in the meeting room. So, if Kurt and Kim, and the likelihood is you're not going to be fully vaccinated by then, or not, then maybe we should do it one more meeting, by Zoom. But we can, come April, I'll shoot an email around, see what people's preference is, and we'll make a decision from there.
Is there anything else? Is there anything new in yet for April? I know it's early, but
The deadline is the end of next week, but I don't have anything at this point, no.
Diana, you haven't been vaccinated yet, have you?
No, I'll be in the end of the train group, I guess, because
Okay.
I'm boring.
Barry, what about you?
No, nothing, not yet.
Okay.
I did
Well,
sign up
young
I
folk
signed
fine.
up for the list, so someday they'll text me and tell me I can go, I guess.
Yeah, so again, maybe the second week in April, I'll just shoot an email and see what people's preference are. I'd like us all together, as I said, and all together inside, but I want to keep things as safe as possible for everybody.
sure.
I mean, it's still going to have the same rules, the distancing, the masks, all of that stuff. It would just be like it was that we
Mhm.
did those meetings in November and December.
Well, we'll decide.
I like that.
Hey, you want a motion? Oh, we already did that. No, we didn't.
No, we're gonna have a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second,
Okay, Dave,
Aye.
Kim,
yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
and me, yes. Take care, everybody. We'll
We'll see you.
see you.
Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
There.
Yeah.